Good afternoon from Little Creek Bee Ranch. I wanted to share another tip with you that we like to use. You see here we have an old, I don't know, trash can, plastic trash can. And come fall time, we have lots of old frames in that have a whole lot of wax, extra wax on the edges. See all that extra wax? And I don't particularly like to leave it on there. It off and on through the fall time I'll clean off, you know, all that extra propolis and wax and whatever. And there's just lots of frames like this. We have them stacked up everywhere. It looks kind of like a mess. It's not. But how to efficiently get that off. So what we did is we took an old bucket, trash can, and inside of it we set down just a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket. Now here's the trick. You know, when you clean these frames, it's kind of awkward. And if you will take an old trash can like we have here and take a 5-gallon bucket and turn it upside down, the tip of that frame will sit right down. See that round pocket right there? And it won't slide anywhere. And you can even rest that frame on the edge right there and then take your hive tool or scraper and off you go, and it falls down into the bottom of the bucket. Now here's the deal. As we go through and clean out frames, we're not only cleaning out the bottoms and the edges, we're also analyzing the wax. Now this isn't bad here. Whatever damage is there, the bees will fix that back later. But I have wax that's dark and too dark and old, and we'll just rip that right out and toss it down into the side of the bucket. Now there'll be a whole lot of wax build up around there, but my point is, it's so awkward. Just take a 5-gallon bucket and turn it upside down, and you should have this little pocket right in the middle to kind of hold that frame, and it can rest on the side, or you can hold it up with your hand and just scrape that wax off. What I like to do is, like right now, the temperatures have cooled off, and it makes this wax just kind of brittle, just a little bit. There it is, just a little, and it scrapes off easier rather than warm temperatures. I can just pick it off. It scrapes off easier rather than warm temperatures, making it all soft and gummy. So I'll wait till the temperatures cool down and come down here with the radio, and I'll plow through, I don't know, bunches. All those frames up there, they'll all be checked and sorted out. I've shown this before. It goes way up. Lots of frames. All those boxes inside there, way up there. Those are on crystals right now. They've got frames. I'll try to make my way through most nearly all the frames. And what I'm after is an intentional wax harvest on purpose. And I'll come up with a whole bunch of wax. And you should do this if you have more than 4 or 5 colonies or whatever. You need to purposefully, with intention, scrape off all your wax tailings. I just call them tailings. And any of that old wax that's dark, you need to get it out. And how to do that, I just found that if you just take a bucket like this, trash can, and put a 5-gallon bucket inside, and you can go to scraping and cleaning, and the top's the same way. Do the top, do the side, down there on the side, and just kick off. If you got stuff up here, just kick it off in the bucket, because that wax likes to pop and it ends up on the floor, and then you track it in the house, and then you're in big trouble. Get people mad at you. But I want that right there. There's a lot of frames that are just like that, and that ends up being a whole bunch of wax. And of course, on my mediums and shallows, I don't run any wires down here. I just think it's traditional. Yes, I know that, but I can just harvest out the wax real simply, and I get cut comb opportunities out of that. When I have a good frame of comb, I can cut comb out of there. So the mediums and the shallows, they don't get wired. They hold up in the extractor just fine, and it makes for wax harvesting really simple, just to rip that completely out. Now what I do when I do that is, like you see, this frame has been harvested. I'll leave that ribbon of wax that's sitting right there. See that just that little tiny ribbon right there, and the girls will pull off of that when I give it back to them next spring. They ought to pull off of that, and the bottom bar, see the little pattern at the bottom of that bar? I won't I won't work real hard to clean that pattern off because the girls will pick that up too, as well as the inside wall. See that pattern on the inside sidebar? I'll leave those patterns there so it gives them something to pull off of, and I can still harvest the wax that I need, but I won't be so greedy and stingy that I pull everything away from them. So there's a tip I think is worth mentioning, and I'm just sitting in a chair, and I can sit here comfortably, and I can zip through hundreds of frames, and I'll scrape all that garbage off there. And down there on the sides, way down deep, there'll be piles and piles of wax, and I can pull it out and ball it up when I want to, and I can run it through. You won't have a solar melter during the wintertime usually, but you can still melt it down through a hot pot or whatever. But just having the bucket in the middle of this trash can makes a huge difference, so that I'm not sitting here inside the bucket just flopping around with a frame. It gives me something to rest on, and I can stand it up, and there we go. We can just fly through frames by doing that. I thought that was a noteworthy tip. That'll help you in your work, and you'll get a big old huge wax harvest out of that. And you need to call out that dark wax and get all the tailings, and after you render that down, you'll have a big old giant block of wax. There you go. Save all your wax. It's worth doing. Have an awesome day.